So to continue on here, first we can select this row and select Edit and Description. So since we're going to be adding a lot of rows to this table here, we're going to want to make sure we know where our certain information is in our project tree window. So if we can just adjust the description by saying invoice number, and selecting OK, we'll see this row represents our invoice number. That's real easy to do. So let's go ahead and collapse it, and then select it, and then select Control while we're grabbing it, and release, and we've copied it. Now obviously we don't want this to look exactly the same here, so I'm going to remove the formatting I did and just select Automatic. And my font disappears here because the cell is back to its default. And I'm going to send this back to its default, which is black. And there we go. So that'll give it a little bit of a different look. Just a design feel. If you want to keep the gray, go for it. I just kind of want to make it look a little bit different. And we're going to select this text value. And we're going to place the invoice date. I like the invoice date here. Whoop. Having issues typing. There we go. Invoice date. Finally got it. So we have invoice date, and we're going to put, of course, our invoice date variable over here by right-clicking and editing the variable and editing value. And from the variable drop-down, just select invoice date, and there you go. The date has changed. So that's a real easy way of just copying and pasting. Of course, you will want to right-click the row, edit, and description, and edit the description appropriately. So if we go through, we can continue to do that. We can just right-click and select Control and release, and just continue to add it as such. And I'm going to add the phone here. So we'll go ahead and select phone. And we'll edit the value, and we'll do phone. And you can continue to place these values as such. Change the value. We'll change it to the phone number, wherever I have that at. That's where I have it. There we go. We got the phone. That looks good. And let's go ahead and add another row, just as we did before. And this one is going to be for our page number. Now this is where things can get a little interesting. Some data files are going to have the page number for you, but they're just going to only have the page number. Some data files won't have any page information. So I want the page to show page 1 of total number of pages in the document. Well, how do I do that if I don't have access to it? Well, if first things first, let's go ahead and edit the text value and write page. And once we have that, we can go down to our second cell here, and let's remove the variable by right-clicking and selecting Remove. So we've got nothing going on here. And let's select the paragraph, right-click, and select Add Text, Page Number. And the Content Segment Properties dialog will display, and we can select the page number type. And I want page number within document. So this is the current page, is another way of thinking of it. Current page. And we'll align this, I'll align it center and give it a width of about 150. And that seems right to me. And there it is. We've got our page number. It's just page 1. But I want it to say page 1 of 1 or page 1 of 2. So to do that, we can right-click our paragraph again and select Add Text. We're just going to go with a text value. I'm going to give it a space and select Of. And select OK. So we've got a 1 of now. And if I right-click the paragraph again and select Add Text, Page Number, I'm going to select Number of Pages in Document. And so what this is going to do is this is going to list the number of total pages. So right now I've got current page of and then number of total pages. So if it's just 1 page in the document, well, it's 1 of 1. But what if I have 3 pages? Well, then it becomes 1 of 3. And we'll center this as well and give it a width of 150. And there it is, 1 of 1. That is what it's looking like. So that looks pretty good. And to continue, adding elements, we can just keep doing as we were doing before. But I want to kind of break things up in three categories. I have my invoice number category, and I think that looks nice. But I want to break things up a little bit, and I want to add the customer PO number as a category, and then the customer number itself as its own sort of category. So to do that, I want the customer PO to look a little bit different than the previous elements. I want it to look like the invoice number element. So we'll copy my invoice number down here, and I'm going to edit the description and change it to customer PO number. And we'll leave it at that. And I'll go ahead and edit the value and make that customer PO number. Actually, it'd be real easy if we just did that. And click OK. And we'll go ahead and edit the variable by right-clicking and selecting Edit, Value. And we can select the customer PO number, not the customer number, customer PO number, not to get confused there. And there it is. So we've got a new category, and we can collapse that, and we can continue adding as before. I'll copy the page, and let's go ahead and add the order date here, and we'll edit the description. We'll go order date. Whoa, uncaps lock that. There we go, order date. And we will add order date here. And you can just continue adding these elements, follow along as I'm doing it, or just add them on your own. We'll remove all that page information we added earlier, because we don't want that in two places. And right-click the paragraph, select Add Text Variable Value, and here we can select the order date. And there we go. So that's simple, and just continue to add our values as such. I want to also add my, go ahead and add my shipped date. Just copy and drag that down. And I'll edit the description as shipped date. And actually to add another element, I can just copy this by selecting Control-C. And if I right-click and select the value here, I can paste the shipped. And there you go. That's an even easier way of doing it. So another little trick there. Go ahead and copy and paste as you see fit. And I'll select the variable again as we've done before. And I will find that ship date. Looks like it's up here a little bit. There it is. And there we go. And finally, to this section of the category, I'll add my due date. But first of all, I forgot to do this. This is important. Edit the description and enter shipped in there. I still had it copied, so I pasted it in. And let's edit the description here first this time so I don't forget. And we will edit due. That's easy enough to remember, and copy that. And just paste it in my content. See, now we're really starting to roll a little bit. We're starting to really move here. We'll change the value to due date, and voila. So let's add another category. This will be our final category. And since we want it to look, again, like the previous category, separated, we'll copy the customer PO number to give it that cool look. And we're going to edit the description, and this is just going to be our customer number. So real easy. And again, we can copy, and we can just paste it. Add a period there. And there we go. And if we edit the variable, edit the value, customer number. Perfect. So we've got a new category. Let's go ahead and drag the order date since it's the closest and we want it to look similar. And here we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the ship via. And if I edit the description here first, ship via, copy, select OK, edit the value, not the font, there we go, paste it, ship via, and then edit the variable, drop down menu, ship via. So there you go, we have that. And finally, I'm going to add the the FOB point here, and we will edit that, and rather not edit the, well, yes, edit the row because we're going to edit the description. There you go. And we'll just type in FOB point. Makes things easy, and of course we could type it in or we can copy it as I had been doing. FOB point, and then we'll select the FOB point variable from the drop-down menu. There we go. I had it under freight instructions. And that's good to go. And in fact, we see that it looks pretty good. But we don't have a border at the bottom here, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and adjust the cell values here. We will adjust the border, and we'll give it a bottom value of 5. And we will adjust this value, and we'll give this a bottom value also of 5. And that completes our header. So we have our nice looking header here, and I'll zoom out a little bit so you can get a better look at it. But there it is. We have our header, and we have our logo. Next, we're going to want to begin to add our details. And to do that, we will be adding them probably somewhere in the middle here, beginning with our ship to information, and then we'll go down to the detail lines a little bit lower. So we're going to, instead of a box, we're going to use a table. So let's go ahead and collapse our box element, and let's right-click our document template and select Add Document Component, Table. And we're going to call this table our Details table. And it's going to have a lot of our information here. And we'll select OK. And to this table, we're going to add a little bit of spacing first. So let's add a row, and we'll make it the page header. That ensures that it will always be in a header position on every page. And we will keep it as is. And to this row, we're going to add a cell. And we'll give it a fixed value of, let's say, 2,500. That should do. And to this row, we're going to add another cell. And we'll give this a value of, let's say, 3,000. And that way it'll add up to 5,500. Again, that's our width limit. So keep things consistent there. No need to add any padding because we're not going to add anything to these. We'll add a paragraph to this second cell just to give it a little spacing down. It'll space it down, move it down a little bit. So that gives us a little bit of spacing, and in fact we can call this row, edit the description, and we'll call it page header. Why not? Or rather, actually we'll call it detail header. I like that better. See, these things fluctuate. You can adjust them on the fly here. Detail header. I like that. Okay, so we have that. And let's go ahead and add another row by right-clicking the table and selecting Add Row. And we're going to use this also for spacing. And we'll say fixed, and we'll give it a fixed value of 300. So you can adjust the row height, and I recommend doing that in between certain rows and tables just because it gives you a little bit of margin between the rows and the other rows. So I like to use that instead of using margins. I think it's a little bit easier, and it works better, really. So we'll select OK there. We have that. And you can add a description to that and say spacing. That's fine. To this table now, we're going to right-click and add row again. And we are going to add a ship to, sold to, our content, ship to, sold to here. We're going to check page header again. And again, when the normal row is checked, it's going to be used in its declared position in a table. And we always keep that checked for the most part. Page header, when checked, it acts as the first row on the page when a table is split because of pagination. So that's basically a complicated way of saying that whenever you're going to see detail lines split because there's too many, well, if this is checked, the page header is checked, it will not split. So you're going to want to keep a page header on your detail headers and on your ship to information and stuff like that, because you want that on every page. But your detail lines, you're not going to want that as a page header, because that's going to adjust from page to page, and you want that pagination to split. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later on in this video. So we'll click OK here. And this row, actually we'll go ahead and edit the description. We'll call it sold to, shipped to. And select OK. And to this particular row, we're going to add a cell. And we will keep this cell fixed about 1700 should work. That should work here. And we will keep it like that. And as a matter of fact, before I finish with that cell, let me go back here and let's add a little padding to it, of course. We'll give it some top padding and a little bottom padding. That'll work. Works nicely. So we have that. Let's go ahead and to this particular cell add a paragraph. Add document component, paragraph. We'll just accept the defaults for now. And to this paragraph, right-click and select Add Text, Text Value. And we're just going to add sold to. And select OK. And there we go. We have the sold to placed like so. And to this particular row, we're going to add, right-click and select Add Cell again. And we're going to do a fixed length, and we're going to give it a length of just, or a fixed width rather, of 150. This is going to give us a little bit of spacing because we're going to add the ship to next to the sold to, of course. And so we can just select the sold to cell, copy, and drag. And there we go. We have that over there. And we will just edit the values content and just replace it with ship. And there you go. So we have that. And we can keep it like it is, or we can, edit with it a little bit, and we could do the gray like we did with these boxes. For this, I'm just going to edit the sold to cell here, and I'm going to add a bottom border because I just want a line distinguishing between the title and what's below it. So we can do that with the other cell as well. I like doing this sometimes, giving it kind of a line. It's really up to you how you want it to look, but that makes it a little bit nicer, I think, a little cleaner. So we have this particular row. Let's go ahead and copy the row and collapse it, and we'll copy that. And we don't want it to look exactly like that. First of all, let's get rid of the borders here. We'll go single border of none, and we will do the same here. Borders, none. And instead of these text values, what we're going to do is let's remove the text value from the top cell, and let's add text, variable value, and we'll put sold to in there. There it is. And we can do the same here on the further cell and just add our ship to. There we go. So we've added our sold to and ship to. That looks pretty good. It's placed pretty well in the form. We like that. So let's not stop there. We've got some momentum going here. Let's go ahead and add our remit to. And this particular information is going to look pretty similar. First, we're going to add a little spacing by selecting the row, and we can edit the row here. And we'll give it a fixed spacing of about 100 and select OK. And keep the page header, of course. So we've got that. And let's go ahead and add the sold to, ship to there. And we're gonna keep it pretty similar. The only difference is we're going to obviously change the values. So first we're going to change this to remit to. And that will work there. And we're going to change the look of this particular cell a little bit because I'm going to put my special instructions here. So I don't want any borders there. I'm going to do it a little bit differently with my special instructions. We'll leave that there. I like the way that looks. And we will edit and say special instructions. Now because special instructions are, of course, special, we want to draw attention to them a little bit. And one way I think to do that would be to edit the paragraph and select General and edit the color of the paragraph and make it bright red. It's not quite bright enough. There we go. That's pretty bright. Whoa! Very bright. So we've got ourselves a very bright thing. We're going to change the font here. We'll change it to white, make it pop a little bit more. There we go. So I like that. So we're going to put our special instructions under there. So remit to, let's go back to the remit to here. And if we do our copy of the row, we'll collapse that one. We're going to obviously adjust this cell. We're going to remove the border first, like we did the last time. And we're going to replace the text with the remit to variable. That makes sense enough. And that looks good. But what about this cell here? Well, we're going to remove the color I put on this. We'll just change it to automatic. And we're going to remove the font as well. And remove, of course, the content. And we're going to add our special instructions. There we go. So that is one way of doing it. And that looks pretty good. I like that. In a very clean way. So we've got all of that. Now we're going to add the detail line items. But first, we're going to need to adjust the descriptions. And we'll put variables on the sold to, shipped to variables. And then to our remit to and special instructions, we'll just put remit / special instructions. And we can copy that. And we'll do the same here, put variables, and it should be good to go. So now, before we get to the detail line headers, we're going to copy one of the spacing rows we created earlier and edit that. And we'll give it a value of 750. That'll work. That'll push it down quite a bit. And we will right-click and add a row. And we'll make this a page header also. And this will be for our detail line headers. And let's go ahead and scroll down as it'll show up in here when we start building it out. And to this row, right-click and add cell. And we're going to do fixed cell of about 500. This first cell is going to be for our quantity shipped, the quantity shipped. So for a border, we'll go top border, we'll go with a bottom border, and we will go with a left border of 5. And we're also going to add some padding. The padding will be 25 all the way around. And that'll work as so. And there we have that. We can add a paragraph to it. And we will align this to the left. That's fine. And right-click the paragraph, add text, text value. Go ahead and type number shipped. That should work. And there it is. Now I don't like the fact that that font is that big. I want it to be a little bit smaller, so we can give it an automatic font. Go ahead and make it 9 here. And that'll work. I like that better. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead, since these are headers, and let's change the color of these cells. And we've done this before. And go on ahead there and just changing the color like that. And there we go. And we can go back to the font and change the font color to white, just like we've done earlier in the video. There we go. I like that. I like that pretty well. And again, you can copy the cell as we had done and right-click it, Control and drag. And we have that again, and to this cell we can change this to, this will be the quantity ordered. So we will go number ordered, and that works well enough. And we're going to create another cell, And this will be for our item number. So we'll, first of all, let's make this cell bigger. And let's give it about a width of 1,000 ought to do. It's not exact, but this will be fine. And you can sort of estimate and through trial and error. But these seem to be pretty reliable. For item number, there we go. And just kind of keep going down the line and dragging and dropping. This one is going to be for our description, so this definitely has to be pretty big. We'll give it a size of 2,000 on the width. That should work pretty well. And we will change the value to item description will be good. We'll do that. There we go. Scroll on over here. And we will do another one. And this is obviously too big. We want this to be about 750. This will be for our unit price. And of course we will name it appropriately. And we will do one more, and this will be for our gross amount.